Welcome back to ASBR Boxing's YouTube channel. I'm delighted to be joined by Elliot and Greg, and we are reacting to the weigh-in that we just saw there between Zhilei Zhang and Joyce, the rematch tomorrow night. And we've just seen them weigh in there. Lads, I'm sure we may as well get straight into it. Don't know about you, Elliot. I know you were at the press conference yesterday, and you said you didn't know what he was gonna. Joyce was wearing baggy clothes. You didn't. There was a lot of questions surrounding what both fighters were going to weigh. Just for those, just to kind of give us a rough idea, Joyce weighed in at 281 pounds, and Zhilei Zhang weighed in at 287 pounds. So it's a 25-pound increase for Joyce from the last fight, and it's a 9-pound increase for Zhang from the first fight. Lads, thanks for joining me. Elliot, I'll come to you first because you were there at the press conference and weigh-in press conference yesterday. But as soon as you heard the 281 pounds for Joyce, what was your immediate reaction?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I think we all knew he was going to come in quite a bit heavier than to fight in April. But I don't think many people would have predicted he was going to come in that heavier. And it's a strange one because he's gone from coming in at a career, not a career lightest, but almost a career lightest to a career heaviest in the space of 5 months. Crazy to me, crazy. I think I find weigh-ins really interesting, especially when it's heavyweight. Sometimes when there's a big difference in weight there. Um, but yeah, I just think it's such a big increase in Joyce, and it's difficult to adjust. And you got to question what he's been eating. I don't know if he's been following a similar diet to myself, but you got to ask those sort of questions.
Yeah, I mean, it is so interesting. Obviously, as you said, I think you hit the nail on the head there. We were all expecting him to come in a little heavier, maybe even a stone or so heavier, but not in the 280s. I was expecting maybe in the 70s somewhere, but 281 is baffling. Well, Greg, do you share the same sentiments as Elliot? Were you shocked at the weight, or did you kind of expect that?
I expected them probably to come in roughly round about a career heaviest, round about, but I don't know if I expected an extra £25 from the Zhilei said 5 months ago, Paul. It's a big gamble, but the only thing that I like about it is that tells me he's going to walk forward and try and put Zhang on the back foot, and I think that's what he needs to do to win. I think he needs to bully him, stay in close with Zhang. So, in that perspective, I think it's a good choice, but yeah, it's difficult to tell with heavyweights, Paul, because I'm not sitting here an Adonis myself, but Joyce did have a little bit of a belly on him, and I was a bit when I seen that. But do you know what? If it helps him, then go for it.
I mean, it's a really interesting one, Greg. I don't know if you recall. I remember you and I did the weigh-in reaction to this fight when it first happened in April, and we were both kind of mesmerized with how Joyce looked. He was a career best. We were like, "Oh, career best." He's looked at the weigh-in, obviously went on to lose for the first time. Now we're looking at this and we're thinking 25 pounds heavier, got a bit of a belly on him. So it is interesting. But I'll come back to you, Greg. And now looking at Zhang, he's the one that won the first fight. A lot of people think that given the manner of victory last time, it could be the same thing again this time. Greg, how do you think he looked on the scales? What did you make of his appearance and his weight of 287?
Funnily enough, I thought that he didn't look like someone who'd put on the weight in an overweight or a beast's way. He looked as though he had. I mean, I think they said that he's been doing work with strength and conditioner, and I could slightly tell that looking at the shape of the way that he was going up. Coming in heavier, I think the only reason he's maybe done that is because he anticipates Joyce to come in a little bit heavier, and Zhang wants to outbully the bully. So yeah, I can understand why he's come in that little bit heavier, Paul.
Yeah, I agree. I think it makes sense. I think I was expecting Zhang to increase again, maybe not as much as 9 pounds, but remains to be seen what impact and influence that has on fight night. Elliot, what about you? Do you think Zhang looked better than last time, or a kind of indifferent? How did you see it?
To be honest, fairly indifferent. I think I was lucky enough to spend a bit of time with him yesterday, and he did say he was going to come in heavier. And you don't know whether to believe someone when they say certain things on fight week, but he did say Joyce is going to come in heavier, as will I. And he's right, but no, I think he still looks in good shape. I think when you're that sort of size, £9 isn't as much as if you're maybe moving up from middleweight to super middleweight as maybe. So it didn't look that different. Whereas when you're putting on as much as Joyce has, you are going to see a difference there. So not too much to say, to be honest. Zhang, I think he's in similar shape. He's just coming a bit heavier for this fight, but I think he's done that on. I do think he's done that on purpose. He's not just. I don't think he's just kind of natural. That's a natural thing. He's done that as a tactical thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think just looking, quickly before we did the video, I was kind of looking back at their past weigh-ins, and Zhang was kind of 276 against Alexander, 277 against Hrgovic, and then 278 against Joyce the first time. So he's up a substantial amount, I suppose, roughly a stone from his 3 fights ago. He's up over 2 stone, nearly 3 stone from he's up over 2 stone from the Jerry Forrest fight a good few years ago, which is interesting. But also obviously he's a wee bit older, a few years older now as well. Plus, I think we've seen Zhang looking better of late anyway, as he has been heavier. The talking point really is Joyce's weight, as you said. We kind of expected Zhang to come in a little heavier. We did expect the same for Joyce, but £25 is a massive increase. Without giving your prediction away, chaps, because we'll come to that just here at the end of the video after this. But do the two weights of Zhang and Joyce, do they affect or change your original prediction? Elliot, what do you think?
It's made me more confident about my prediction, which I'm not going to give away my prediction. I think we had a chat earlier this week. I think it was a Monday, Tuesday. Gave my prediction then, and it's made me. I've gone from being 65-70% confident to 75-80% confident now. So it's strengthened my prediction, not changed it.
What about yourself, Greg? Are you more confident in your prediction now, or you're doubting yourself? What way are you seeing it?
It's made it come closer together for me. I didn't expect Joyce to come in £25 heavier, although I expect him to be heavier. It's made me think about how the fight will go down the stretch now, because I think that the longer the fight went on, it plays into Joyce's hands, I thought. But if he's put on £25, it's extra weight to carry. He's not the quickest anyway, Joyce, but he might be even slower. So it's brought it a very, very close together. 50-50, 55-45 for me.
Very interesting. We flirted around it, guys, so we may as well just get into the predictions now. I'll give mine first, because I've been the one asking you to do the question, so it's only fair I give mine as well. Elliot, as you know as well, when we were doing the betting and stuff, I originally thought Joyce was going to win via late stoppage, and I too am more confident in that prediction now. I think that Joyce to win in the second half of the fight. If I have to pick 2 rounds, maybe around 9-10. 9 would be my kind of 8-9-10 would probably be where I'm at. But second half of the fight, stoppage for Joyce is my prediction. First and foremost, Greg, I'll give it back to you. Give you the floor. What is your final prediction?
I feel like when you guys ask me this question lately, I'm letting you down by saying that I don't know, but I genuinely think it's that close. Initially, when the fight was made again, I thought Zhang will do it again, stop Joyce again. I'm slightly leaning towards that way now for the rematch. And initially there for a week or two, I thought, Joyce. The only thing that makes me sit in the fence more is I do think Zhang kind of blows his energy quite early. In the second half of the fight, he's not as effective, and that's where Joyce is more effective. So I'll be honest, Paul, it might not be the prediction everybody wants, but I think my prediction is going to be this fight will, the last third of it, I think 8-12, I think there's going to be a stoppage. I think that's as good as it's going to get from me.
Dead on, mate. Dead on, but sitting on the fence. I don't think you will. Stoddy, are you more confident then in the Joyce late stoppage?
Yeah, so it is a tough one, because Zhang's stamina issues concern me. I can't get that Jerry Forrest fight out of my head. I can't get how exhausted Zhang looked at the end of the Hrgovic fight out of my head. And I'm not just, it has strengthened how I feel about this, but I'm not just making this prediction because of what we've just seen at the weigh-in. I don't believe Joyce can make the adjustments that he needs to win this fight, and actually think Zhang actually is pretty good. He's just been kind of overlooked for some reason, but actually a lot of people thought he beat Hrgovic. Hrgovic is still an undefeated fighter. He then beat Joyce, and if he then beats Joyce again, how impressive is that really in 3 fights in a row? That's very impressive. So I'm going for Zhang to win by stoppage in the middle rounds. I think just similar, like round 5 to 7, that sort of range is what I'm going for. That's my prediction for this one.
Very interesting. So one either side and one on the fence. Very, 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 very interesting, guys. Really enjoyed that. Thanks for breaking down the way in there. And guys watching, we'll have plenty of content coming surrounding the Zhang Joyce rematch this weekend, and final prediction video as well as reaction as well. So stay tuned for that. Lads, thanks very much for your time, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Cheers, guys.